Have you ever cried at something so small and immediately felt ashamed of it? A stranger's kindness, a song you've heard 100 times, a scene in a movie nobody else in the room even noticed. And the worst part, you looked around, nobody else was affected, just you. So you wiped it fast, looked away, told yourself to get it together. But here is what nobody ever told you. The fact that you felt that, while everyone else felt nothing, that is not your weakness. That is your superpower. And science has already proven it. 6 things about people who cry easily that nobody talks about. Let's get into it. Thing number 1. Your nervous system is built differently from most people. Not broken, not weak, different. And I want you to really sit with that word, different, because we live in a world that rewards sameness. That rewards people who can switch off their feelings, push through without showing anything, and act like nothing touches them. But here is what that world never tells you. The people who feel nothing, process nothing, and the people who process nothing, grow nothing. Psychologist Elaine Aron spent decades researching a specific type of person that most of the world had been getting completely wrong. She called them highly sensitive people, and her research found that roughly 15 to 20% of the human population is born with a nervous system that is fundamentally wired differently. Not worse, differently. When most people experience something, a conversation, a piece of music, a moment of conflict, their brain registers it, files it, and moves on. Quick, efficient, surface level. But when a highly sensitive person experiences the same thing, their brain does something entirely different. It goes deep. It connects that moment to memories, to meaning, to emotion. It asks questions the average person never thinks to ask. It feels dimensions of that experience that most people never even notice exist. This is why you cry at things others don't. Not because something is wrong with you, but because you are operating at a frequency most people cannot tune into. Think about that. While everyone else is skimming the surface, you are living underwater, seeing everything, feeling everything, processing everything. That is not a malfunction. That is a gift that comes with a cost. And the cost is feeling deeply in a world that has forgotten how to feel at all. Thing number 2. You have emotional intelligence that most people spend their whole lives trying to build. Let's talk about what emotional intelligence actually means, because it gets thrown around a lot without people really understanding what it is. Emotional intelligence is not just about being nice. It is not just about being in touch with your feelings. It is a set of cognitive abilities, recognized by leading psychologists worldwide, that includes self-awareness, emotional regulation, empathy, social skills, and motivational depth. And here is the part that changes everything. Psychologists now consider emotional intelligence a stronger predictor of life success than IQ. Not a little stronger, significantly stronger. Research from Yale, Harvard, and dozens of major institutions consistently shows that people with high emotional intelligence earn more, lead better, build stronger relationships, recover faster from setbacks, and report higher levels of life satisfaction than people with high IQ but low emotional intelligence. And people who cry easily, people like you, score exceptionally high across every single dimension of emotional intelligence. Why, think about what actually happens in your brain when something moves you to tears. Your brain first has to recognize that an emotion is present. Then it has to process the source of that emotion. Then it has to connect it to meaning, to memory, to value, to significance. Then it has to generate a physical response. That entire sequence, happening in milliseconds, requires a level of emotional processing that most human brains simply do not perform automatically. You do it without thinking, every single time. So when someone tells you that you are too emotional, remind yourself of this. They are not describing a weakness. They are describing a capability they do not have. Thing number 3. Your empathy is not normal, it is rare, and the world is running out of it. I want you to understand something about empathy before we go further. There are 2 kinds of empathy that psychologists talk about. Cognitive empathy, which is the ability to understand intellectually what someone else is going through, and affective empathy, which is the ability to actually feel what someone else is feeling. Most people have some level of cognitive empathy. They can understand that someone is hurting. They can recognize the situation and respond appropriately. But affective empathy, actually feeling another person's pain, joy, fear, or grief as if it were your own, that is rare. And that is exactly what people who cry easily experience. A study published in the journal Motivation and Emotion confirmed a direct and significant link between emotional crying and effective empathic concern. The easier you cry, the deeper you feel for the people around you. This is why when a friend breaks down in front of you, you don't just think about how to help them, you feel their pain in your own chest. Why watching someone achieve something after years of struggle brings tears to your eyes. Why injustice, even injustice happening to complete strangers, makes your throat tighten. You are not just observing life, you are absorbing it. And in a world that is becoming more isolated, more self-absorbed and more digitally disconnected every single year, your ability to genuinely feel for another human being is not just beautiful. It is one of the rarest and most needed things left on this planet. Thing number 4. Every time you cry, your body is healing itself in ways most people never allow. This is the one that I want you to remember the longest, because it completely reframes what tears actually are. Most people think of crying as a loss of control, as something that happens to you when you are not strong enough to hold it together. But biologically, that could not be further from the truth. Emotional tears are chemically different from every other kind of tear your body produces. When you cry from physical irritation, dust, smoke, cutting onions, your tears are mostly water and salt, a simple protective response. But when you cry from emotion, from grief, from overwhelm, from being deeply moved, the chemical composition of your tears changes completely. Dr. William Fry, a biochemist who spent years specifically studying emotional tears, found something remarkable. Emotional tears contain significantly elevated concentrations of stress hormones, including cortisol, the body's primary stress chemical, and ACTH, a hormone directly linked to emotional and psychological distress. Your body is not just responding to emotion when you cry. It is actively expelling the toxic byproducts of that stress through your tears. In the most literal biological sense, you are crying those chemicals out of your body. This is why after a real cry, a deep, genuine, unfiltered cry, you almost always feel different. Lighter, calmer, like something heavy just lifted off your chest. Because something did. Measurably, chemically, actually. Now think about the people who never cry, who have trained themselves through years of conditioning to suppress every tear before it falls, who see emotional release as something to be ashamed of. They are not stronger, they are simply carrying more. And that weight, those unprocessed stress hormones, that suppressed emotional backlog, it does not disappear, it accumulates, and it finds other ways out, through chronic anxiety, through sudden anger, through physical illness, through a slow, quiet numbness that creeps into every area of life. Your body knows how to release what does not belong inside it anymore, and the fact that you allow it to is not weakness. It is one of the most intelligent things a human body can do. Thing number 5. You're not too sensitive, you're too real for a world that has learned to feel nothing. Brené Brown, a research professor at the University of Houston, 20 years, thousands of interviews, hundreds of thousands of data points. And after all of that, her most significant finding was this: vulnerability is not weakness. It is the single greatest measure of courage. She found that the people who were willing to be seen, truly seen with all their emotion and imperfection and depth, were the ones living the most meaningful lives, the strongest relationships, the most creative work, the deepest sense of belonging. And the people who had built walls, who had armored up, shut down, and decided that feeling nothing was safer than feeling everything, they were the ones struggling most. Not with weakness, with emptiness. Because here is the truth about emotional numbness that nobody says out loud. It does not protect you from pain. It just cuts you off from everything else too. From joy, from connection, from meaning, from being fully alive. People who cry easily have not made that trade. You have kept yourself open. And yes, that means you get hurt more easily. You feel disappointment more sharply. You carry things longer. But you also love more fully. You experience beauty more completely. You connect with people at a depth that most human beings spend their entire lives searching for and never find. Crying does not mean you fall apart. It means something reached you. Something broke through. It means you have not closed yourself off from the world to protect yourself from it. And that, In a world full of people hiding behind screens and performance and perfectly constructed versions of themselves, that takes more courage than most people will ever know. Thing number 6, your tears say what words never could. Before language existed, before alphabets, before writing, before civilization, human beings communicated through tears. They were a signal, honest, uncontrollable, impossible to fake. They said, "I am hurting, I need you, I care about this, I am here fully, completely, without pretending, here with you." And thousands of years later, that has not changed. Research in social psychology consistently shows that witnessing someone cry activates empathy circuits in the observer's brain. It breaks down social barriers, it creates trust, it invites genuine connection in ways that even the most carefully chosen words cannot manufacture. Your tears build bridges, real ones, between real people. And on the deepest level, your tears are one of the most honest things about you. They cannot be performed on command. They cannot be strategically deployed for effect. When they come because something real is happening inside you. Something true, something that matters enough to your body that it responds without asking your permission first. In a world saturated with filters and highlight reels and carefully curated versions of human beings, that kind of honesty is extraordinary. Your tears are proof that you are still real, still feeling, still here, can I completely and fully, in your own life. And that is not something to hide. That is something to protect. So here is what I need you to carry with you from today. You were told, as maybe your whole life, that crying easily made you weak, too sensitive, too much, that you needed to toughen up, build walls, stop letting things get to you. But the truth, the scientific, psychological, deeply human truth is this. Your nervous system feels at a depth most people never reach. Your emotional intelligence operates at a level most people spend lifetimes trying to develop. Your empathy is the rarest and most needed thing in a disconnected world. Your body heals itself in ways that most people never allow. Your courage shows up not as hardness, but as radical openness. And your tears speak a language more honest than anything else you could ever say. You are not too much. The world has just not been deep enough to understand you yet. So the next time your eyes fill up, do not look away, do not apologize, do not wipe it fast and pretend it did not happen. Let it come, because it means you are still feeling, still connected, still fully, completely, unapologetically alive. And that is worth everything. If this video spoke to you, share it with one person who needs to hear this today. One person who has spent too long apologizing for how deeply they feel. Hit the like button if this changed something in how you see yourself. Subscribe, because every single week we go deep into the psychology and mindset content that nobody else is covering. And drop one word in the comments, just one word. How did this make you feel? See you in the next one.